This is my, I want to show you this app while it's on the screen. That's a simple step counter app. And I think it's on already. You see my two phones. One is what people call me on, so I want to keep that with me. But that one has a walking app on it. That's an Android phone, Motorola E6. And what it does is count your steps. Now when you have a bike, let me just see if it'll show up. I'll see if I can get that, a better image of that. I just want to see if it's working. You do get ads that you have to close. But this is what the app looks like. And that 0 at the top, that's how many steps I've gone. It's a very simple app. Relatives have iPhones, and there's a similar thing on an iPhone app. Now I'm bringing that up. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to go for my walk. Let me just see if that's 2 steps. What it does is add up how many steps you do. So now that I know that's on, I can stick it in here, and it will count how many steps I go, which is wonderful. Now, I won't take you on the whole walk with me today, but I want to mention a couple of other things. So I've got 2 phones, a walking app, and the stick can go in there. I want to come up with some kind of a bag, maybe just like a, you know, if you have a bow and arrow, you have a bag for the arrows, something like that, for the phones, some kind of an attachment to the cart to just stick things in, because if I need the phone quicker, I might want it on the outside. That app is tremendously helpful for being a positive influence in walking. When you ride a bike, you have an odometer. A lot of people have an odometer, and I do have one. I haven't put it on my bike yet. And that tells you how many miles you go. This tells you how many steps. And it's really wonderful because you get a little bit addicted to it, like, oh look, I went this many steps today. It's a positive. That's, like I said, an Android phone that you would get an app. There are 4 or 5 of them in the Google Play Store. It's very simple to use. If you have an iPhone, the Apple Store would have an app, and they're not complicated apps to learn or anything like that, because this is, unless you have like an old-fashioned flip phone, which I've had, you know, not all that long ago. I don't know if there are step counters for flip phones, but part of our adjustment as we age is that we don't have landlines anymore where people actually have to call us on the phone and we pick up the phone. And do you remember that? And walk around the house holding the phone because you want to talk to somebody while you're trying to do the dishes. But you were always plugged into the wall and you could only go so far. All of that has changed. And a simple app like a step app, and that one is called Step Counter, is a wonderful little treat to making a positive for walking. Now, the other thing that's going to be coming up is, some of you may remember my treadling and my treadle machines. And when my leg first started to fail, I was treadling my sewing machine so many minutes a day. And losing my other dog and getting a new dog has taken about 9 months of delay on everything to both let go of my other dog in some ways and train a whole new dog. So I've had this huge delay on regular things for me. And this is one of them, is a walking cart. And this is part of why I'm taking a walk first thing in the morning before I have to deal with anybody or anything. And I will know how my legs are doing today. And then I'll know how much I can push it for the rest of the day. But coming up as part of living with PAD is going to be using a treadle machine to make, I have to make a quilt for my grandson, a very simple quilt, and using a treadle for additional exercise over and above walking. So I recommend getting a step counter app, and I also would recommend, it's coolest early in the morning, maybe making your daily walk in the morning, and then you know how you're going to feel for the rest of the day. I just want to mention, it looks like it's better to hold the phone. I'm at 84 steps. Hold the phone as you go, which I have to look into, because I have bags I can just wear the phone. I'm going up a different hill, and I have to stop and rest because of the PAD. But the reason this is good is I'm going the opposite way that I went yesterday, and the reason this is good is because I'm using my legs differently. This is a slightly different incline. It's a little bit less steep, and now I'm stopping up near the road because both my legs are killing me. This is what happens with PAD. And so yesterday I got up. After I walked the hill, my left leg was in a lot of pain, and then I had to actually rest when I got back from my walk yesterday from my left leg. Now today, like I said, taking a slightly different incline, and my legs hurt differently. Now the surgery saved my legs, so at least I have them, and so I don't want to complain too much about pain. This is a walk, what I do with the dog, you can see the traffic up there, is I bring him this far and we sit and we watch the traffic, and that's how I'm starting to train him to get used to traffic, whether we have a cart or he's just on a leash. And normally, it's like I said, a little after 8. Normally, I would be going to the store at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and there would be much less traffic. But I have to get him used to the idea of all that movement around him all the time. And you'll have to do that. I had to do that with Cocoa Bean, but she was older, and he's a very sensitive dog. I think he's going to turn out to be a perfect service dog. He's very sensitive to the surroundings, and so once I get him trained to traffic, we probably won't have a problem ever. But anyway, my legs hurt differently today, and a service dog, if he were walking next to the cart, would pick up on that. And you have to remember that you have a dog for a reason, and that if he stands in front of you and says stop, you have to stop, because they can hear what our bodies are doing or sense what our bodies are doing. And in my case, it could cause a seizure, blah blah blah. So anyway, take a different route sometimes and push your legs differently so that you're balanced. And this is why the treadling becomes like a secondary or additional exercise, because in my case it's easiest to stand and treadle with one foot, which happens to be my right leg, and that'll work out fine, to just keep strengthening my right leg, and then being aware that I can always use my left leg and give that a workout. But walking, I think, is going to be more balanced overall, And obviously you can't tell them how to make the roads, and it gives you a natural challenge to different situations for walking. Okay, so going the reverse direction that I just did, it's only like 118 steps to the top of the hill on that side, which means the majority of the steps are over here on this road, and that's why when I come this way I feel like I've really done a lot. This is the incline that's equal to my stress test, and now I'm going downhill. But I wanted to mention there was a man in our neighborhood who had diabetes, and he had been told to walk all the time. And he couldn't walk very far, in the sense where he didn't want to just be walking all over town for no reason. That walk that I just did, that is like 112, 118 steps to the top of the hill over there, he used to walk up and down that street. He lived not too far from me, and he'd go all the way up that street, down that street, up that street, down that street. And so if you're limited in, let's say you live in a neighborhood where you can't really leave the neighborhood without hitting a really big major road or a highway or something, you can just walk back and forth on your own street and accomplish the same thing. And I know, you know, we all saw him. There are several people that do that. He was the only one that just repeatedly went up and down the street. This is actually pleasant to do in the morning. You know, I've already obviously walked and fed the dog and everything, and when a dog gets up in the morning, they go out, they check their yard, they see what's happened overnight, they scoop things out of, you know, what information do they need overnight. This is almost similar with taking a walk around the block. He's like, oh, what kind of a day is it going to be today? It's all positive. Now, walking down this hill is so much easier than walking up this hill. But down the road, there are two big dump trucks and a woman walking a dog. And there is one woman that lives down there that walks her dog off leash all the time. So this is kind of like, you know, let's get out, see what's happening. So now that I know she's already walked her dog, I know we won't run into her dog if I take Scout for another walk. It's the daily constitution. No pun intended.